That was Verity Pabla featuring Francesca Eden called Thank You. Such a nice song.
Thank you.
It's
So pretty.
Aww, so mellow.
Yeah, really, I'm real mellow. For my own music, I'm real mellow, and then I represent stuff that's not necessarily so mellow.
Oh, yeah, we're going to get into that in a bit. Well, you said that you was in London yesterday.
Yeah, so there was the London Sync Sessions at Metropolis Studios.
Oh, cool.
Obviously famous for recording people like Michael Jackson and
Yeah.
Amy Winehouse. And I was just saying to you, actually, a couple of minutes ago that I saw Will I Am, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I had to like double check that was actually him. Yeah, I don't know what he's recording there. It's all very secret when you go there. You have to make sure that you don't get in the face of people that are recording.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that was fun. It was just so random.
That is cool. Did you see anybody else there? Like
Friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of record labels and music publishers and managers and
Right.
other artists, and that was, it's always really nice to hang out with them and see what they're working on. And these people they've got releases which are on radio and
Yeah.
stuff that's going on to TV and video games, and like one of my pals at Hospital Records, she's recently got some really good syncs for the drum and bass artists, and stuff on like Sony PlayStation, for example, and that's a lot of fun to hear about that kind of thing that's going on.
That's pretty cool. So is it like a networking event kind of?
Yeah, networking. So Sync, for anybody that doesn't know, is to do with getting music onto TV and film and adverts and video games. So yeah, it's finding and meeting the people that actually deal with that. Like, most people just don't know who actually selects the music for a TV show or for an advert.
Yeah.
And they're called supervisors, and they're the types of people that attend this kind of conference. And yeah, it's really just hearing how they work and what their process is, and how you take an initial idea for an advert, for example, and go through that process of finding the music and honing the music and doing potentially like re-records. So that was really cool. Like, I heard about one campaign, like advert for a charity, which is to do with literacy. So I think it's called Literacy Matters, and it's an animated advert, and they took an artist from Metropolis to do a re-record of a track from the 1950s.
Wow.
But in her own style with a ukulele, and it was all very organic. But that process took 5 months, and it was really cool to hear how it got to that stage.
Definitely. That's so cool.
It's
See
different.
so many different people there, like coming for different things.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, for sure. And actually my artist Ella Joy, who she was based here in Birmingham for a couple of years.
Okay.
She went to BOA, and now she's at ACM in Guildford,
Right.
which I guess is kind of an equivalent to Access to Music here in Birmingham. Yeah. So she came along as well for a day with her label, and
nice.
It's actually really, I don't know what preconceptions people have of the music industry, but I find that there is a lot of crossover between labels and publishers and managers, and that it's not necessarily as cutthroat or competitive as people might think. But actually, I'm quite happy to introduce my artist to other people that might be interested in her for other parts of her career, because it makes sense. If you're an artist in any way, like it could be that you're in a band, or you're a singer-songwriter, or you're a beats maker, it's really important to build like a good team around you. And for me, I'm one part of that particular artist team, but actually her label are an important part. If she can get a publisher, they will be an important part.
So that was Tom Chaplin, Quicksand, but before that we had beautiful music by Ella Joy. That was Home, and I believe she's one of your artists.
Yeah, so Ella's the one that I was mentioning. She came to Metropolis, and she's now done Academy of Contemporary Music, right?
Yeah.
Too many abbreviations. ATM, ACM.
Yeah.
I don't know. She's really good. So she just released her debut EP, which is 4 tracks, at the start of September. And is that
Attention
another fire
please,
alarm?
attention
Wow.
please. The fire alarm test
Some
is
more-
now over. Thank you for your cooperation. Attention please, attention please. The fire alarm test is now over. Thank you for your cooperation.
At least we're safe. We know
We're
that we're
safe.
safe.
We know that the fire alarm actually worked.
You can all go about your day now knowing the Fire alarms are working.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone's paying attention.
So before the break, we were talking about I'm Not a Machine music,
Yes.
and you were saying it was originally a woman-run company. So
Yeah.
what's changed?
Well, it still is a woman-run company. I haven't changed just yet. I mean, not that that's any problem, and really, it's no problem at all.
Yeah.
But no, I still run it, and actually, I have an intern, and actually, as of today, a new intern.
Oh.
A couple of new interns, and
Yeah.
one of them happens to be associated with Access to Music,
Yeah.
which is very cool, and really interested in sync licensing. So yeah, I'm very much up for giving opportunities to other females. But for me, it's a person thing more than it being a gender thing. It's about do I connect with that person or not? Do we have a similar vision? And it's very much the same in terms of the music, and I think that's why it transitioned from being just female artists to being female and male artists, because it was about who I'm connecting with, and that's not really anything to do with gender. It's to do with the music and the personality of the artist. And I have a roster of 20 artists now, which is quite a lot to sort of manage for, managing their catalogue and preparing tracks and pitching for TV shows and film and trailers and adverts. And I deal mostly with the US.
Okay.
So then, you're considering time difference and then my potential clients and what they're looking for. But, my artists, I really like all of them, and that's the point. I work with them because I want to support where they're going and be a part of that process.
Right.
And, you heard one of my songs, which is from my last EP, which was a little while ago now, but I don't just want to produce and put out my own music. I do actually really love other people's music, and I only have a certain amount of energy and time and stuff that I can give, but I do feel I have that capacity to give that for these particular people. But it does make my job a lot easier knowing that they're really nice and they make great music.
That you just really want to support those kind of people.
Yeah, and I think for what I do, it's really important to actually be interested in media, because there are some artists that make music just for making music, and they don't want their music associated with an advert or on the background of a TV show or in a trailer, which for me is madness. But that's fine, that's an individual choice. But I love moving image, and I think that music is super powerful, moving image is super powerful, putting the two together is just magic for me. So I really like to work with artists that have that appreciation of either a great advert or, amazing films or a TV show. I'll give you an example. At Metropolis, we were in front of a panel which was a composer, a director, a producer and a music supervisor, which is a really interesting mix of people that tend to get together. And they have been working on a film called Mum's List, which I'm not sure when it's going to come out, but I think it's going to come out soon. And super emotional, based on a true story, and about a woman who has 2 children and a husband, and she gets cancer and she passes away. And it's about her writing a list of things that her husband should do for the children and for himself, and ends up being unravelling into the memories that she's had of the time they've spent together. And the composer they chose was a singer-songwriter actually, and not a traditional composer. And the pieces that were shown, her work is just really beautiful. Like, it complements the music, the actual imagery and the acting so beautifully. It's not so typical, if you like, for score. And for me, now that I've seen those clips, I just so desperately want to go and see the film. I was sat there almost crying in a room full of people, and I'm pretty sure that other people were too, because it's one of those things that we all relate to or will relate to at some stage, because it's just natural. That's the one thing that's guaranteed, that someone will pass away and that we will pass away. That's nature. And I think that just the imagery alone, of course, would be powerful, but adding that extra layer of music, which we have throughout our day, we just are so used to it, you know, we go into a supermarket and there's music, and we go into a cafe and there's music, and we're listening to music as we go along, and I think that we almost take it for granted in a way.
I agree.
But yeah, I think media is powerful, and I think it's really important for any artist, maybe, you know, some artists that are listening, to consider that as part of what they're doing, and if they really want to be involved with media or not.
Yeah, that's interesting actually, because you know, with film composers and stuff, they go through a certain type of like education, but for that lady to be a singer-songwriter,
Yes,
composer of film, that's amazing.
Yeah, I think there's more and more crossover, and actually there was a panel on trailers, and trailers obviously for big, usually Hollywood movies, and they were just talking about the stuff that's starting to cut through, which is different when you've got a drum and bass artist that is doing a massive trailer, like Wonder Woman, for example. There's a drum and bass artist there who, it's not drum and bass on the actual trailer, but that's his background, and it's very drum based, and there's just something different about it from the usual type of trailer. And so you get definitely that crossover now, where there are producers who actually would like to try out to do something for a trailer, for example, or for a film, but equally it's not to say that those that train as composers for that particular area are out of a job. They're not.
It's true.
I still see these big epic trailers with string, you know, orchestra and choirs and things like that. Wow, this is I want to see this now. and I have a composer in Los Angeles, Chris Thomas, who he does exactly that kind of thing, but it doesn't mean it's not original. He very much has his own spin, but it is just to say that there are some, if you like, more artists that are going into composition, and they're taking the spin of their own style of music, whether it's electronica or drum and bass, or being an ambient singer-songwriter, and they're able to cross over into score, into composition for film and maybe even TV, but I think it's mostly film and trailers.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
It's a good job to have, I think.
It is a good job to have, singer licensing.
So, out of your whole musical career, what would you say some of your highlights have been?
I'm sure you have so many.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a few.
I still feel really new to what I'm doing.
Really?
And I mean, I've been recording for about 11 years, maybe 12 years, but like I started at uni, I did a theatre degree, but I also wanted to try out doing an EP, and then I did an album, and then it just went from there. I did another EP, and I found the guys that form my band now here in the UK, and I think we just had a lot of fun playing live together and trying stuff out and not having too much pressure. I think the only pressure has been me setting a deadline for wanting to release something, but I think one kind of maybe cool story is I lived in Auckland, New Zealand, and I actually did a bit of busking there, which I would never do here. I just would not do it here at all. No. But there's a different culture there, and actually it's super sunny and warm, and it's nice, and there's a bit of a different vibe there. And I was doing some busking, but it was outside of a supermarket, and I didn't feel very glamorous. But I was still doing my own stuff. I was like, I'm not doing cover versions. I don't care if that's what people want. Like, I'm compromising by busking, but like I'm not going to compromise by doing cover songs. I'm doing my own music. And at one stage, this woman came out of the supermarket and went down the ramp to the left of me, and I just carried on singing. And suddenly she's on her phone, and then she sort of puts the phone out toward me, and then sort of speaks again on her phone, and then she ends up coming up to me and saying, "Oh, my son," and she speaks in a Scottish accent. I was like, "Okay, you're Scottish, you're not from New Zealand, okay." Yeah, he makes music, and maybe he's got a studio, maybe you can do something together. And I thought, oh, her son's probably like 14 and just like trying stuff out. And she ended up being the mum of one half of the Modifier duo, who I now represent for Sync, and they are both Scottish guys, but one lives in New Zealand, one lives in Glasgow, and they've been on various labels and compilations for more electronic dance house type music, yeah, I got to collaborate with them on a few songs, and just actually this week we released a production music, great partnerships, and I don't know that I would have thought busking outside of a supermarket